It's chilly. I have this thought in my head. In 60-degree weather, we'd be in short sleeves. It's so true. Especially, isn't it weird? I remember in high school, so the school that I went to in Minnesota had open lunch. Hi, Megan. And because it was a really old school and they didn't have a big enough cafeteria. And so we had open lunch so we could leave. And so we get an hour for lunch every day. And so my friends and I would leave. And I remember whenever it was 30 or 35 degrees, especially if it was sunny, we'd go without jackets because it was in the middle of winter because it was so warm compared to, like below zero. Although this has been a fairly warm winter. This is the first week we've had below zero all winter, which is pretty good. And today was like 20, so it wasn't too bad. Heat wave. Exactly. It's a heat wave in Minnesota. Okay, so I have this like thought in my head that I want to communicate, and I never script, like I never really plan out what I'm going to say. I just have like an idea and then I just start talking. And sometimes that doesn't bother me. And then other nights I'm like, I hope that this all comes together the way I want it to say. So I hope that my thoughts make sense. And I feel like this can apply for any area in our life. So today I was running some errands with two of my boys, and thank you for the hearts. And they always are asking me, my kids are always asking me, tell me about me when I was little. What did I say that was funny? Or what was I like? Or how did I handle this? Or what was I like in the car? And so we're always reminiscing. And so anyway, I had my 11-year-old and my almost 8-year-old with me. And they were asking me those kind of questions. And my almost 8-year-old was, that's funny. Hi, Henry. He's right. So my almost 8-year-old said that he was, I'm trying to remember why we were talking about this. I think he was just asking me what he was like overall in general, or what kind of things I remember of him. And, I know this does not matter, but I'm going to tell. So he was remembering that, I know. It's ridiculous. And my youngest is 6. That doesn't make any sense. He was remembering that one year, Bill and I had taken him on a birthday date to a local snowmobile track. And we had gotten hot chocolate and we went and sat. We always give our kids the choice of having a birthday party or a birthday date. And they almost always have chosen birthday party or birthday date. And so we had taken him to just go watch snowmobiles. And he's like, do you remember I cried the whole time? And I was like, yes, I do. And he's like, why did I cry? And I was like, I don't know. And like, that kind of was your MO for years. As you cried about everything. And so then we were reminiscing about that, like what that meant. Because he's like, why did I cry about everything? And I said, like, I would be making dinner and he would realize I was making dinner and he would just start sobbing. And sometimes I would put the food before him and it took him half an hour to actually eat because he was so upset because he was hungry. And yet there was the food right before him. And it often had to do with food. Or like if I was I had 5 kids. So if I was dishing up, I don't ever serve like in the same order, just kind of like whoever's there first kind of gets to eat, or what, I don't know, whoever was right in front of me. And so if I ever served anyone before him, which clearly happened, he would have a meltdown because he just assumed, well, if you serve me last or fourth or third or second, clearly I'm not going to get to eat. And then, but like, so like by the time the food I would give him food and it would just be sitting there right in front of him, waiting for him to eat. And he would just be crying. He'd be so upset and so focused on the fact that he was hungry and that he wanted to eat that he didn't take advantage of what was right in front of him. It never made sense to me. So we were laughing about that today. Well, and I don't know why, but that story has just stuck with me all day. And I keep thinking about how many times do we cry and complain and whine about whatever our circumstances are. I don't make enough money. And that can be like just a selfish thing, or that can be a legit thing. Like I don't make enough money to pay my bills, or I don't have any extra money, or I'm overweight, or I'm unhappy in my job, or I'm unhappy in this relationship. I'm not talking about marriage, although we can be unhappy in our marriage. I guess that I don't know if I want this to apply. We'll have to see. Maybe. Pin that. Maybe you can say this about marriage. But you don't like your circumstances. And what I have discovered is that almost always what we need to change our circumstances is right there in front of us. Sometimes it's super obvious, like lose weight, like eat better, stop drinking soda and stop eating at McDonald's every day. But we don't. We just keep whining and complaining that we don't like how we look and that we're heavy and we don't like how we feel. And or, I need to make more money. Well, obviously that can be, that can be a whole lot of things. I'm going to talk about our business in that. My husband and I prayed for years that we would have an opportunity to make some more money because he worked so hard. I rarely saw him. He worked so much, and the business he was in just didn't pay well. And so when we had the opportunity with It Works to take something and change our life, we chose to do that. But I know some of you are watching who are either not on my team or are on my team or in It Works team, but you're not actually implementing what can happen. You have what you need right in front of you and you're not. As far as relationships, you guys, there is always an option to making better our relationship. If you're not married, maybe that means you need to end the relationship. If you're married, I would highly recommend that you do not end the relationship, but that there's always something there to help you, whether it is seeking counseling. How many people won't go to counseling because they're just prideful and they just think it's a waste of time, or they don't need that. We've got this covered, and yet clearly you don't got this covered. And so I don't know. I just keep thinking about Trig and how he would sit there with the food. And by the time he would eat the food, it would be cold. And I'm like, why would you wait so long to eat the food? Now it's cold and gross. And everyone else would be done. And he was just there by himself. And so then he was just mopey because he was feeling sorry for himself because everybody else had what he wanted. And yet he actually had what he wanted right in front of him. He just chose not to tap into that. And so obviously, like I said, this can apply to a whole lot of different areas, but I'm just thinking about our business. And if you're on my team or if you're on an It Works team, and I'm pretty sure you could sit here and say, these are the things I'm unhappy about in my life. And the things that It Works can do to rectify those unhappy things in your life, those things you're unsatisfied. Are you doing it? Are you doing what you need to do? Are you sitting there looking at everyone else thinking, well, look at them. They're growing and they're moving and they're making money and they're changing their life, but I'm not. Do they have a different thing in front of them than you? No, they have the exact same thing in front of them that you have. I just keep, I literally have this visual of Trig sitting there in front of his food sobbing because he's so hungry and they're eating and I just want what they have. I'm like, you have what they have. You're just not choosing to tap into it. You're just not choosing to pick up your fork and eat. And that is what I'm thinking about our business, is that if you are here, if you're already here, you have exactly what you need to do this. It Works has provided us with every single possible sales product, catalogs and blitz cards and all of that kind of stuff. They've given us all of the information we need to know about the products that we're talking about. And then they've given us an exact roadmap on how to do it. You talk to people, you wrap them, and you do it again. You blitz, you wrap, you repeat. And I think what happens is that's so simple. It was so simple for Trig just to pick up the fork and eat it. But he was such a mess in his head. He was so crabby and crying and feeling sorry for himself that he just couldn't pick up the fork and eat the food. And so instead he just kept complaining and crying. And I think that's kind of sometimes what happens with us, is that the roadmap that we've been given is so very simple that all we have to do is talk to people. All we have to do is put wraps on them, share our products, and do it again. And then talk to people, put wraps on them, and do it again. And it's like, instead of just being like, oh, that's so simple, I'm just going to do that, sometimes we just sit and we whine and we complain because we just don't pick up the fork and do what we need to do to satisfy ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I hope that analogy came together. And like I said, that can apply to a lot of places in our life. Everything. My husband and I, our marriage, we have been through one of the hardest 1 to 2 years of our marriage that we've been since we got married. And we have, okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense. And we had to decide if we were going to find the resources that were available to us to work on our marriage, and or were we just going to keep on complaining? Yes, fork. Just pick up the fork. Just pick up the fork. Put it in your mouth. So anyways, I'm challenging you to get off this. When we get off, don't get off now. Wait till I hang up. Wait till I'm done. And I just want you to think, what are you doing that you're looking at everyone else thinking, well, why do they have what I don't have, when you have what you have the same exact thing in front of you, same exact meal, same exact utensils. Literally nothing is different other than, are you choosing to not pick up the fork? And they are. And if that is the case, how can you start doing that? What action steps can you do right now? Yes, you have to make a plan. And if you're not making a plan, nothing is ever going to happen. And even if that plan, if you want your plan to have, we talk about the 6 list. If you want a 6 list for tomorrow, but at the moment you can only think of one, start with one. Don't not do it just because you don't have 6 things. And if tomorrow is a super busy day and you literally are like, I can't do 6 things tomorrow, then do what you can do. That is something I'm really starting to understand, is that sometimes we wait until we can give it our 100%. I'm just going to say that I don't think there's very many times in life that we can actually give 100%. Like, unless if you have no other commitments and you have no other relationships in your life, you're not, which then you might have a struggle with network marketing if you don't have any other relationships in your life. It's going to be hard to give it 100%. But what I'm not saying don't try to find moments where you can give it 100%. What I'm saying is that don't let 100% be your standard to the point where you don't even give it 50%, or you don't even get it 60% or 80% or even 20%, because all of those numbers are better than 0%. So anyways, pick up your fork. I think you should go on Facebook and Instagram and say, I'm picking up my fork today. I will say it and nobody will know what we're talking about. And we can do the little fork emoji, which I didn't even realize we had until Megan just put it on there. So anyways, all right, that's all. Let's do this thing. Bye.